Hey there, you're probably wondering why is he laying on the floor? Well, I'm laying here with my 16-inch MacBook Pro because today I'm going to upgrade it, and it is a kind of a sad day for me. That's why I'm laying here in sadness while I can. I will lay for a little bit more and then I will explain you why. And also I will explain you why future-proofing your tech is one of the biggest scams in the world, maybe even as big as flat earth theory. Because flat earth theory doesn't cost you anything and future-proofing tech costs you money. I will now go to the post office to collect my new MacBook Pro, and in the meantime another me in the living room will tell you my brief history with Apple products. I'll try to make it fast until my kettle goes to boil, so 1, 2, 3, let's go. When I was young, my family didn't have much money, and when Apple iPod became popular, I had to use some cheap MP3 players that obviously wasn't any near iPods, but still better than huge cassette players that I was rocking before. Then rumors started floating that Apple would release a phone that made me excited, and then they released an iPhone. I'm 14 years old, I'm excited, I'm over the moon, I want it, I don't have money. So next year I work all summer to buy an iPhone, but then decided to go for iPod Touch instead, in order to save some money and not spend all on iPhone. So at the age of 15 I got my first Apple product, which smashed the door of music for me with its cover flow function, and music became also a visual art form that led me to the Beatles, Oasis, Coldplay and stuff. But I digress. At the time I couldn't even imagine to own a MacBook. It was so expensive, so out of reach for my family. So I used Windows computers for the whole my life, basically until the year 2017, when I already graduated, moved out of my parents, started to earn some money from photography and bought 15-inch 2012 MacBook Pro. And it changed my life, changed it so much that I would never want to use Windows machine again, and basically made me want to get rid of my PC rig that was sitting at home at that time. Years goes by, use MacBook does its job and lets me edit all my images with joy. And then in 2019 I finally grew up to buy my very own new MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. It was a big moment for me. It meant I am doing something right if I could finally afford to invest in new MacBook. Process-wise nothing changed. I still did all my work with joy using newer Apple machine. Then comes year 2021 and I get a good deal on 16-inch MacBook Pro with Intel i9 processor, 32GB of RAM and all those bells and whistles. And I decided, why not? Let's upgrade, let's future-proof, let's buy a laptop that I will be able to use not for 10 but for 5 years at least. But then Apple releases their M1 chips and crushes my heart. Well, it's getting even more cold outside, and I hope that by this time you already liked this video and subscribe to my channel. If no, you still have time. And the thing is, everything should be fine. Yes, it did felt like buying an iPhone in the end of summer when after a few weeks they release a new one, but my future-proofed MacBook Pro with that i9 processor and lots of RAM still did a good job, right? Well, not really. You see, with editing images everything seems to be fine, although I edit everything in Capture One because somehow on my super powerful MacBook Pro Lightroom just can't switch images as fast as Capture One. But then I started to edit videos a bit, and when I decided to start a YouTube channel I noticed that my 16-inch MacBook Pro with Intel i9 and 30 gigs of RAM couldn't handle 4K footage from my Sony a7 III camera. I mean, what? My 2020 machine with most powerful processor can handle a footage from a camera that was released in 2018? So that's why I feel sad, because not only I bought the last generation of Intel MacBook that got outdated pretty fast, but also because at the time seems to be powerful machine turned out to be not so powerful, and now I sort of need to upgrade to be able to sell and at least get some money out of Intel MacBook before it goes completely outdated and no one will need it at all, which basically ruins the whole idea of future-proofing. Okay, so let's unbox this thing. I must say the third time I am doing it, unboxing a MacBook, it's not as exciting as it was the first 2 times. So let's see what we will get inside. The first time was pretty special. I got my new MacBook. Okay, well that's new. So here should be like seal made by Apple, but it's broken, and on top is tape. Okay, I need to take a picture of that. Okay, makes an interesting start, I guess. Hope everything is fine inside and that won't be a problem. Not the best start, I must say. Okay, at least it says MacBook inside. We will go from that. Box has a little dent because it was smashed here. That should be. Okay, it says MacBook Pro 14-inch. Let's see. I hope this dent on the box didn't hurt my MacBook. Okay, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Calm down, everyone. Okay, a bit heavy. I don't care about stickers. Everybody on YouTube shows stickers. I don't care about them. Whoa, this charger is pretty fun. It's so small. I will need to change it up, this connector, so it would fit European socket. But it's small. Nice. Nice upgrade from 16-inch MacBook Pro charger. And here is MagSafe cable with this ribbon structure. Very nice. Okay, will the magic happen here? I don't know. We shall see. Okay. It's nice touch. They made like Apple logo more visible in the paper. Here is paper more thinner and transparent. Okay. Okay, it's a refurbished version, so it has been sent back to Apple. They repaired it, changed whatever was wrong with the computer and sent it again to me now as a refurbished version. So here might be some visible marks that this computer have been used before. So far everything seems good. So on the outside it's perfectly fine, even the logo without any scratches. Okay, paper where it should be on the screen. Okay, now we'll need to set up a computer. 14-inch, I had before 16-inch, so I'll need to get used to this one, but so far it doesn't feel small. My wife does have now a MacBook Air 13-inch, and that one feels definitely smaller than this one, so everything so far so good. And I thought because I have now this monitor on my desk, I don't need a big MacBook screen, so I can use like 14-inch here as a second monitor and as main monitor keep using my Dell monitor, so I don't need that big screen anymore on my laptop. And portability is the key for me, and design-wise, it's good. I like that here they brought back card reader. We have here MagSafe port. The MagSafe port looks different than it was before. Two USB-C and another USB-C here. HDMI port, but I don't need that. Headphone jack, I don't use that. But overall, I like the design. I don't know, is it much thicker than my 16-inch MacBook Pro, but feels roughly the same. Here also MacBook lacks of touch bar, but I didn't use that touch bar anyway. I think it's useless thing, just takes up space, and physical function buttons I think much better. Trackpad is slightly smaller than on 16-inch. I can notice that right away, but I think it will be fine. So yeah, if you're interested, let me know if you want to see a more detailed review of this machine or maybe comparison to my i9 16-inch. But yeah, looks nice, feels nice, but not as cool as it was for the first time when I had my first MacBook Pro. After trying this future-proofing concept, I can say it's pretty useless, and I will explain why. In my opinion, future-proofing was partially created by tech YouTubers who could afford the latest tech and would often max it out for their videos. But did they really need the most powerful tech? Usually no. But since they could, they got it. Well, maybe only MKBHD would benefit from those max specs with his 8K footage, but I can't imagine how he used to edit that footage on 16-inch MacBook with Intel i9 processor. In the eyes of viewers, it created the idea that getting the most powerful laptop is the smart thing to do because their favorite YouTuber did it, and they assumed the YouTuber is an expert, so they should follow their example. But in reality, the tech YouTuber who talks about gear often upgrades much sooner than the general public, so they renew their gear way sooner than other people. What happens when regular folks try to follow their favorite YouTubers aiming to future-proof and get the most advanced tech? they end up losing money. You see, when I got my 2012 15-inch MacBook Pro in 2017, it did a great job handling photo editing for my Canon 6D RAW images, even though it was 5 years old with middle specs. Then my 15-inch MacBook Pro with a Touch Bar, Intel i7 and 16 gigs of RAM could handle editing RAW images from the Sony a7 III. The same goes for my latest 16-inch MacBook Pro with Intel i9 and 32 gigs of RAM. But since my latest 16-inch MacBook Pro couldn't handle 4K footage from my Sony camera, my less powerful previous MacBook wouldn't handle it either. In both cases, I would be forced to work through proxy files. So what was the point of future-proofing with my 16-inch MacBook Pro if my workflow basically stayed the same? Future-proofing is a wrong concept in a few ways. First, better specs don't guarantee a huge performance boost. Second, if you're trying to future-proof, let's say, a laptop for the next 5 years, technology could advance significantly during that time, making your future-proofed laptop seem weak and you might need to upgrade sooner than expected. Also, in our consumerism age, we often start wanting to upgrade our gear after a few years just because something new is released with a new design that we like better. So, spending more money to future-proof might end up costing you more when you decide to upgrade and sell your older laptop. For instance, I'll lose more money selling my upgraded 16-inch MacBook Pro than I did when I sold my less upgraded 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now, when my wife got a MacBook Air with the M1 chip, I tried it out and was amazed at how well it handled 4K footage from my Sony a7 III camera. Yes, the 8 gigs of RAM is a problem for heavy users, but that small laptop managed 4K footage without proxies. The export time for videos instead of 2 hours on my 16-inch MacBook Pro was only around 24 minutes, which is incredible. After this experience, I realized my ambition to future-proof failed, and I need to upgrade sooner than I had hoped. I could still edit videos on my 16-inch laptop with Intel i9 processor, but that meant creating proxies every time and having much longer export times. Also, as time goes by, my Intel laptop becomes more outdated, and the later I sell it, the less I will get back from it. So I decided to make the upgrade. But this time I decided to skip maxed out versions entirely and just think about what I really need. My main issue with my current laptop is 4K video editing, so my new machine needs to handle just that. Instead of going for any of the new M3 MacBooks, I decided to find the previous generation that will suit my needs. I checked Apple's refurbished page and found a 14-inch MacBook Pro with M2 Pro chip and 16 gigs of RAM for $1599 plus taxes. I opted for the smaller version because I now have an external monitor at home to edit everything on, and for me on location portability makes more sense than a bigger screen. Since the M1 chip could handle 4K footage, I thought the M2 Pro would be more than enough, and I hope the 16 gigs of RAM would also be sufficient, just like it was with my 15-inch MacBook Pro back in the day. In the end, I skipped the newest generation and the most powerful specs of MacBook. While a more powerful laptop could make my video editing a bit smoother and faster, I doubt those slight improvements would be worth the additional costs, because as you see, the prices can skyrocket pretty fast. For now, with my workflow, the M2 Pro should be plenty enough. I'll only need to consider upgrading when I change my camera to a newer one, and maybe my M2 Pro would struggle with new raw images or video footage. Until then, I'm all set without a maxed out and future-proofed laptop. That's why my advice to you would be to get what you actually need today. Don't max out specs just because you want or can. If you won't utilize those specs now, it might not handle your future tasks anyway, and you will be forced to upgrade way sooner, losing money on those maxed out specs. So yeah, it's the first time for me that upgrading my laptop isn't a very pleasant process and more out of need. Let me know if you want to see a full video review of my new M2 Pro laptop, checking if it's a good option in 2024 and how it handles real photographer's tasks, not relying on benchmarks that usually don't tell much. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next one, but for now, have a nice day and keep shooting.